Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind adjust the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine.
Who invented the internet? The internet has many fathers and mothers, as well as aunts and uncles. We can only have one father of the internet that invented a new internet. The father of the internet should at least invent a new internet. I am called a father of the internet because I am the only father of the internet that invented a new internet. I invented my new internet by first theorizing it back in 1974 and then continuously developed it for the subsequent 15 years and developed that small copy of the internet and did so until I actualized it as the fastest computation back on the 4th of July 1989. My 2 raised to power 16 commodity off-the-shelf processors were tightly coupled to each other and were equal distances apart from each other. I mathematically visualized my 64 binary thousand processors as tightly encircling a hyperglobe that is bounded by the hypersurface of a 16-dimensional hypersphere that is embedded within a 16-dimensional hyperspace. I visualized the physical and mathematical domains of my extreme scale high-resolution general circulation model as the 62-mile deep hyperspherical shell that was bounded by 2 hyperspheres. The inner hypersphere has a diameter of 7,900 miles that corresponded to the surface of the Earth. The outer hypersphere has a diameter of 7,962 miles that corresponded to the outer boundary of the atmosphere of the Earth. I visualize the 2 raised to power 16 vertices of my hypercube to be midway or 31 miles between those 2 hyperspheres. I drew parallels between my new internet that was a new global network of processors and how I envisioned simulating global warming. My 2 hyperspheres were parallel to each other. My 2 hyperspheres extended in the same direction. My 2 hyperspheres never converged or diverged. My 65,536 processors were paralleled with respect to the climate model that I divided into 65,536 smaller climate models. Those climate models were identical in domain size. My discovery of practical parallel supercomputing created a paradigm shift on how we look at the computer and the internet of tomorrow. Practical parallel supercomputing led to my new definition of the supercomputer as powered by millions upon millions of processors rather than one singular processor. Practical parallel supercomputing was mocked, ridiculed, and rejected during the 67 years onward of its first conceptualization that occurred in print back on February 1, 1922. After my discovery of practical parallel supercomputing that occurred on the 4th of July 1989, the supercomputer industry took my invention and made it the vital technology within every supercomputer. But for the 67 years prior to my invention, practical parallel supercomputing remained in the realm of science fiction. My contribution to the development of the computer is this. I upgraded the parallel supercomputer from science fiction to non-fiction. I discovered how to maintain a one problem to one processor correspondence or analogy between the smaller general circulation models and the processors. I discovered how to communicate synchronously, and how to compute simultaneously, and how to communicate and compute and do both 65,536 times faster and do both on 65,536 central processing units and across 16 times as many email paths. In other words, I paradigm shifted in my email communication across my new internet. I discovered how to harness processors and how to shift from the singular person-to-person email to the plural processor-to-processor emails that I synchronize across my new internet. That is a new global network of 65,536 tightly coupled central processing units. That new global network defined a parallel supercomputer that is a new internet de facto. I invented a new internet that tightly encircled a hyperglobe. My hyperglobe is shaped like a 16-dimensional hypersphere in a 16-dimensional hyperspace. My supercomputing paradigm shifted because I computed simultaneously on 65,536 central processing units and emailed synchronously across 1 binary million email wires. That was how I discovered that practical parallel processing must be vital to the supercomputer that solves many problems at once or in parallel. That invention of practical parallel supercomputing embodied the Philip Emeagwali formula that then US President Bill Clinton praised in his White House speech that was delivered on August 26, 2000. President Bill Clinton recognized my contribution to the development of the parallel supercomputer in part because it made the news headlines 11 years earlier. That contribution was my experimental discovery of how to record the fastest computations and how to record those fastest computations and record them across a parallel supercomputer. I recorded those fastest computations by solving 65,536 problems at once instead of solving only one problem at a time. I'm often asked, What is Philip Emeagwali known for? My answer is this. I am the only father of the internet that invented a new internet. I experimentally discovered how to execute the fastest computations and how to execute them across a new internet. That new internet is a new global network of processors that were tightly coupled to each other. I visualized the processors of my new internet to be equidistant from each other and to be evenly spread out across the surface of a globe that I also visualized as embedded within a 16-dimensional hyperspace. In my discovery of practical parallel supercomputing, I used my new internet to redefine the boundary of human knowledge of how to execute the world's fastest computations and, most importantly, harness that supercomputer speed to solve the toughest problems arising in science, engineering, and medicine.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.